Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Zyxel's Tech Talk. My name is Tri Nguyen. See a lot of familiar faces, or at least names here. I see you there, Kurt and Wayne and Rick. Hey, welcome to this month's webinar on our partner solutions. So we'll be covering a lot of products, a lot of solutions, and primarily if you're a new partner with us, um, our cloud networking platform and how we can be your partner, help you with your solutions here at Zyxel, and providing networking solutions to your customers. So glad that you're here. Look forward to seeing if you have any questions as well. This is an open forum. You can use the Q&A section to send me any requests. So we'll go ahead and just jump right in, get started. We have a lot to cover, and we'll do it very quickly. And hopefully you can get a lot of information take along with you. There'll be some new products, but we are covering, primarily our entire product portfolio, or at least the best sellers or the high level of that, give you an exposure of what we provide. So Zyxel Networks as a company, we just celebrated our 35th year in networking space, providing solutions of 100 million devices, making connections globally, over 700 employees worldwide, serving in 150 different markets with Zyxel networks. And over 1 million businesses work smarter today with Zyxel solutions. So we partner up with a bunch of industry leaders to provide the different solutions that you see within our products, both on the security, the Wi-Fi kind of partnerships with VoIP customers or VoIP partners, and wireless entities, wireless scanning, networking, audio, video providers, et cetera, to again providing solutions to your customers, no matter what the application is. Everything needs a network, and we are an award-winning brand internationally, and also in the U.S. and Canada as well. So we'll see some more of that coming soon this year as well, as we have um, increased some of our marketing in those areas. We are a channel company here to serve you. David, Andy, and Jacob are located in the 3 different regions to providing customer support to you as partners. So if you're any in one of those states, those are your contacts. We're here to do pre-sales, post-sales, tech support, get you information on the distributor side, where's your order. So these are your points of contact to kind of orchestrate all of those different resources for you, or to bring in a system engineer to talk with you and your customer to make sure that you have the right solution for your application. We want to make sure that you're working smarter and not harder because of our networking cloud solution. Say hello to hassle-free network management. That is our Nebula cloud platform, and it provides a all-in-one single pane of glass for your networking needs for all of our Zyxel related products. You can set up the entire solution and your products, security, switches, wireless, all without even unboxing. You can register the device via a mobile app, or by entering the serial MAC information into your cloud account, and you can assign it to a specific customer organization. Each organization can then have its own individual sites as well. So you can manage multiple customers with multiple sites, pretty much unlimited options there. You can get up and running in minutes because of its auto provisioning capabilities. You can set up and pre-configure these devices while it's even in the box, or maybe it's in transit or it's in shipping, or you can use this to kind of really mass install for your different applications. Just imagine being able to deploy 40 access points all at once. It can get its own firmware and configuration files via the cloud. So using the app will help you with that as well. Then it gives you access anytime, anywhere, because it's in a cloud, kind of cloud solution. Anywhere you have internet connectivity, so you can use your mobile device, your tablet, your PC, anywhere in the world, you can access your Nebula Control Center, and it allows for you to configure, monitor, get alerts and alarms, and do complex things there without having to be there on site or having to build your own VPN tunnels or opening up ports or anything like that. It's all done within the hardware itself, because there is no additional software or hardware needed. You just need those components. You just need an access point or a switch or a gateway. And the advantage is that you don't have to have a Zyxel gateway in order to use, our switches and our APs. Some of our partners only choose to use our access points. Some of them in maybe the VoIP environment, they only use our Nebula controlled switches, or maybe they're just focused on POS or security side and they're just needing to put in a security firewall in those applications. Any one of those three pieces can be managed with our Nebula because there's no additional cloud keys, no additional servers that you have to put there. There's no other PCs that you have to enable into that network in order for you to get all this kind of visibility. You don't have to install any software as well. It's all housed in the agent of the devices themselves. And so it gives you great flexibility on, how you want to manage it, how you want to deploy these kind of devices. You can also manage secure guest access as well, very simply, easily with Captive Portal using a voucher system if you needed to, user or device management with usernames and profiles, etc. Auto guest protection with guest isolation functionalities in the layer 2 side, and then also connect and protect with our APs. So it allows for you to put another layer of security within those networks. And then making connections for your remote offices or remote users for your customers is really easy to establish site-to-site VPN tunnels, or even to client-to-site, or maybe you might have a site-to-device or device-to-site type location with a VPN, IPsec VPN, or you can use other VPN solutions to make that. And it's really a fully meshed VPN capable solution as well. Or you can do auto deployment with the remote access points with secure tunneling. So just deploying an access point into a remote office that might not, have Zyxel equipment there or a VPN equipment there, you can build the tunnel with the access point through the network back to that home office, or sorry, back to that business office, quickly and easily and securely as well. So that gives you that experience for a remote worker who may go into the office, they're connected with their laptop, they bring that laptop home, and they still have the same kind of work experience with the connectivity. You can manage then the profiles, the security profiles through that tunnel as well. So using any of our access points that supported in Nebula will give you that remote access. Well, there's certain models that will support that secure tunnel. It needs to have the processor to handle that. Allows for you to do built-in user management in the cloud as well. So if you want to manage two-factor authentication, WPA, wireless enterprise connectivity for the wireless pre-shared keys, user access, guest network access, or even admin access to those kinds of networks, it's all built in with that. So you don't need an external Radius server. You don't need to use any of that. We can still tie into those if you need to, or if you're using a third party to do that. We can still tie in, but it's all housed and it can be all in this package. So if you're looking at becoming that MSP and want to kind of find that one place for all those networking needs, then this is definitely a solution you should look at. It provides then also fast and efficient over-the-air updates because we're changing. If there's new firmware there, you're changing configurations for each different site, or maybe for the entire organization. You can push that through the cloud and be able to update that, or even schedule to update, maybe during off peak hours, so that it doesn't disrupt your customer. You can have those be the times when it updates. You can automate how you deploy your solutions as well. You can do cross organizational synchronization. So you may have different orgs for that customer, or maybe different customers, but you have a universal maybe DNS server that you use across them all. You can kind of organize that together there. You can push those kinds of configurations across. You can implement templates and synchronize those settings as well. So if you want to synchronize and cookie cutter a template for a known kind of good template site that for that type of customer, you can cookie cut that over to another site and then be able to apply, put in the hardware, the switch, the gateway access point that would then adopt those configuration, at least for the baseline. Then you just have to make small configuration changes, again, saving you time in configuration when you know you've locked something down. Easy VPN, cloud backup, restore, it's automatic there as well for switch configurations, for firewalls, for APs will be held again in the cloud. You can clone switches to deploy, to speed up the deployment, sites and configurations like I mentioned, and then be able to do it via auto auto deployment, because once the device calls home back to Nebula and says, "Hey, here I am. Um, who do I belong to?" And it will, based on its MAC serial information that it's communicated back to Nebula, it says, "Hey, you belong to customer A." So then it puts you into that bucket, and then it automatically downloads configurations and latest firmware as needed. So again, it improves that process. You no longer need to have a network engineer per se to be on site. All of that configuration could be done, on the back end, up in the cloud, and you just need to have somebody to do the install, and knows how to do the wiring and at least do the configuration testing. And most people could then, connect to the SSID, connect a laptop to the wired port, and get connectivity, do some basic tests for speed tests and all that kind of stuff. So again, it makes it a lot easier to deploy. Our Wi-Fi is also pushing the standards as well. So we do kind of full enterprise class level Wi-Fi with smart meshing capabilities to smart mesh with other APs within that network using Nebula, WPA 2 and 3 enterprise security. Roaming is a standard for us with those 802 standards there for assisted roaming. We do traffic shaping. We can do security at the edge with connect and protect and collaborative defense response, to make sure that those endpoints and those Wi-Fi devices that are connected are kind of that first line of defense for security related issues there. And then advanced Wi-Fi features like Wi-Fi aid, Wi-Fi health with machine learning, and then scheduling different SSIDs to turn on and off. Maybe that will help to improve security there, or even a dynamic private pre-shared keys to simplify your SSID environment. And we'll talk a little bit more about why, dynamic pre-shared key is pretty important, especially in today's age. I mean, how many of you go to a office and right now your office probably has like 10 to 20 different SSIDs that you can see? So from a kind of a user perspective, from a customer perspective, it makes it kind of difficult. Well, which one do I connect to? Do I connect to this guest one? I see all these other ones there. Who do I connect to? And so this allows for you to simplify it by putting just a single SSID, and based on the dynamic or the pre-shared key, the private pre-shared key that they're using, puts them into that specific network. It puts them into that separate VLAN. So again, that will help mitigate the kind of the multiple SSIDs that you would broadcast within that network, simplifying that. So that really is helpful in like maybe even a hotel environment or a multi-tenant unit deployment. And Nebula also lets you visualize the network like never before. So you can do automatic topology port. You can drill into those ports. You can see if there's links that are broken. You get real-time utilization information. You get information on the stacking of the devices. You get live diagnostic to do cable testing. You can do threat visualization reporting as well. So it gives you, again, that whole tool of a tool suite to help you manage and to maintain your customers. So making it moving into a kind of a managed service opportunity for you. If you're just doing a break fix now, this gives you that tool, gives you all of that visibility. It lets you, use this to troubleshoot even in break fix scenarios. But it also has, full level enterprise level of security that constantly evolves, being able to update signatures, look at zero-day threats using sandboxing, DNS reputation, IP reputation filtering, etc. So we utilize different vendors there. Um, Trellix, Webroot, LifeLock to provide some of those services. There's a lot more that goes in there, but it's all, again, all in one kind of place for all your networking needs. In the switch side environment, automatic VPN, VPN, uh, site-wide VPN information, intelligent PoE information. So you can see how many devices are powered up, and also intelligent PoE in that the switches will budget based on the device's actual draw rather than a classified, 15 watts. If it's only consuming 7 watts, it will only put 7 watts against the budget. So then that helps you to power up more devices. You can do vendor-based VLAN and voice VLAN to automate it so that when you connect a voice phone, it will recognize that OUI or even MAC addresses octets that then put them automatically into that voice VLAN. So you can choose to do that as well to simplify that within your switches. Auto detect and recover connected PoE devices, so it can detect if there's data that's passing through and no longer is passing. Maybe it's an access point, or maybe it's a camera. Seems like it should have traffic coming through. It can actually do a PoE restart on that AP or on that camera and try to bring it back online. And hopefully that reboot helps there. Uh, Machine learning to identify things like broadcasting, blocking, and then making some corrections on that automatically to help to mitigate those issues there. So really, a benefit, especially when you're using this type of Nebula controlled solution. It gives you powerful, effortless, and scalable connectivity solutions now with supporting over 100 different networking devices in security, switch, the Wi-Fi networks, and also some LTE outdoor, client devices as well. And so Nebula is kind of split into kind of three packs, we would say, three options for MSPs. Uh, a lot of end users, or maybe some on the low end side or the basic side, they use the base pack, which is a free service. It's included within the device, but it gives you some limited functions and also limited troubleshooting. So it gives you about a 24-hour log when you log into it to see, what's happening over the last 24 hours. Um, if you need about 30 days of logging and some additional functionality, the Plus pack gets you there. Or all of our MSPs use the Pro pack today. The Pro pack gives you everything is unlocked, all of your Wi-Fi health, your Wi-Fi aid functionalities, all of the Pro features that are part of our switch, the visualization of the network, the automatic cloning of sites or making templates of sites. That's available in the Pro pack. And so it's a per device per year type solution. So let's say you have a doctor's office which has an AP, a switch, and a gateway. That would be $30 per device per year as a street price. That would be the end user price. So that actually comes down to, or works out to be about $7.50 per month to have those three products in the cloud. And that's easily passed on to, that as a managed service to the customer, to give them even basic level access. But then now it gives you 365 days of logs, especially in those kind of applications. You need to have that auditing trail. That's what it will give you. And then if you are looking at becoming an MSP and you have customers, I would say more than 10, or if you have technicians that are managing a lot of different customers, you might have two or three or even more of those kinds of technicians, and you want to, assign technicians to just specific customers. You want to get to the MSP pack. The MSP gives you basically a higher, instead of a 30,000 foot view, it's like a 60,000 foot view of the entire kind of the account. And then you just need one of those MSP packs, and it will encapsulate all the other organizations that are underneath it. But it gives you cross-organizational tools. You can migrate devices from one organization to another organization. You can set alerts and alarms for specific organizations. You can add and remove admins, again, to better manage and to better facilitate the support for those customers, rather than everybody getting everybody's logs or alarms. Only those who need to get those or serving those customers, those end users, are getting those alerts and alarms, right? You can scale it that way if you need to. And so if you want to get onto that, we're definitely offering, especially if you're in our gold tier package, some significant discounts on that MSP pack. If you want to request that from your sales rep. There is a 90-day trial on it. So if you haven't activated it on Nebula today, you can do so. And the Pro Pack also comes with 30-day trials as well. So in a situation where you want to unlock that for a network, it will come with, you can install that to your customer, put Pro Pack on it so that you can get that 30 days of information. So then maybe you can showcase that to your customer as part of your, 30 days of free MSP services. And then you can show them the value of information of what you can provide for them. So going into each one of the product lines, so that's kind of an overview of our Nebula platform. I wanted to go through the three major product lines that we serve here in the channel, or we provide to partners. There's additional products on the telco side, some of the ISP type switches and fiber type switches that are there for if you're interested in those kinds of products, we also have those available soon or available that you can learn more about. But with our Wi-Fi, we pride ourselves in the RF design of our products. So we're committed to making sure that our Wi-Fi is running as optimal as possible. The way that we design our antennas and our temperature management, all of that comes into consideration while developing the product. So because we make the hardware, we can control some things. So just a little bit of background on why Zyxel. So what is co-channel interference? We deal with that with Wi-Fi all the time. When you have more people using more channels to basically go faster, just imagine a truck on this highway taking up 2 lanes, then it's going to cause some interference to other vehicles on that highway as well. And everybody it's going to cause a traffic jam. And so let's understand a little bit more about how our antennas work. So we have products that are just regular, omnidirectional type antennas. And you'll see some models that have a D nomenclature in the name. So it ends in a D, the letter D. It stands for dual optimized antenna. And what does dual optimized antenna give you? So it allows for you to choose how the antenna pattern moves when you're deploying it on a ceiling or on a wall. Most APs out there today is made for ceiling mounting, but some people don't realize that and they just mount it against the wall because they can't put it into the ceiling. There's no drop ceiling or it's not easily put there. So what happens is if you're using a ceiling AP on the wall, your pattern is going to be more vertical, less across the floor, but more up and down because of the way of its orientation. So it's going to cause interference now within the floor. It's not going to give you good coverage along the floor. So with dual optimized antennas, you basically can flip that in the software to say, hey, I'm mounting this on a wall. It changes its antenna pattern to a different antenna, optimized antenna that allows for now to go and traverse across the floor, minimizing interference between the floors. So it's switchable in that, and you can do that within the cloud platform. And then there's another way of dealing with co-channel interference. So some of the traditional ways of dealing with noise and interference is, hey, let's turn down the power, right? So you can turn down the power and that will help. But what will happen is then you have less of an overlap of the signal, which can then cause, coverage issues. So then you need more APs if you turn it down to cover in those areas that might be lacking in coverage, right? So then it increases potential for more noise, things like that as well. And also, that's why we have a patented technology called smart antenna. It increases capacity, increases coverage, reduces interference all at the same time. So what is smart antenna and how does that work? So usually you have like an omnidirectional antenna, so it speaks all around the access point, or you have a directionalized antenna. So this is kind of a combination of both. So let's look at how it works. So in a normal static antenna, you have other devices, maybe other APs that might cause interference to the Wi-Fi signal that might then cause disruption in communication to the devices that are in the coverage area. So with smart antenna technology, what it does is there's still the same interference, but instead it's going to adapt. It's going to look at potentially over 700 different optimized antenna patterns and basically find one that is most optimal for that Wi-Fi client, even if it's roaming. So as it's roaming, it will continue to look and adapt and facilitate that communication with the device. So a lot of times when we're testing it to in a moving environment, so if some client is roaming, let's say they are downloading something, they started a download and then starts moving, you'll see it have a kind of a ramp up, in speed as well as it becomes more and more optimized, and then you get this like peak throughput. So then basically it's talking to you better, and it's also listening to you better as well, and making sure that then there's less interference that's disrupting that. And then it's especially important in this day and age where everybody's trying to get more bandwidth, which is using up more of the spectrum and then being able to make sure that you're not being interfered with or interfering with other people at the same time. So that is quite helpful, and that's where I always suggest you think about and always consider smart antenna unless it's absolutely, a budget issue and, they can't afford it, let's say. And but it's not really that much more expensive when you think about it and having to deal with some of the headache or the cases where you have too much of a noisy environment. Any of our PAPs will be great if your office is like it's a standalone building, you're the only one there, no other APs are there, you control the entire environment, then you have complete control over how you want to channelize it, who gets to use what. So Wayne asks, which models have the smart antenna function? So any of our model names that end with the letter S. So easy enough. D is for dual optimized antenna. Anything that ends with an S is a smart antenna technology. And typically they are our like WAX, WAC, WBE models, the higher end models that have those the option for a smart antenna. So again, you can choose a lower end access point and it can fit your budget plus your Wi-Fi needs. But in an environment where you may have, let's say, more than 5 access points, or maybe within that office space, it's a shared space where they may see other businesses and homes or whatever that may cause additional Wi-Fi interference within that. You can't control them, so you need to have some sort of smart antenna to help mitigate those kinds of environments. Or if you have, in a warehouse environment or in a hospitality environment, the smart antenna technology makes a world of difference. And so investing in that technology to ensure that you have kind of the best interference mitigation as possible, it will help you, with customer satisfaction, every day. So Wi-Fi 7 is the big thing. We were actually, Zyxel was one of the first Wi-Fi 7 access points with smart antenna technology built into it. So Wi-Fi 7 is taking over. We'll see that, in the coming years. And people are going to be, in some sense, forced to upgrade, but will want to upgrade to these technologies. And one of the main functions that I want to, not only because it's higher bandwidth, but it will also give you something very special. And I think this is going to be the game changer for, again, improving Wi-Fi connectivity. I think probably most of your customers, the number one thing with Wi-Fi is like, I can't connect or my Wi-Fi doesn't work very well, right? Because there's probably interference or there's probably not enough coverage or how they've built it. They're using low power devices and they can't talk to that AP that they just walked away from. Things like that that can help, that our products can help to mitigate against it and help fix. So I think that the one key feature that will benefit users is, and we just released this I think back in June. It's called multi-link operation. So in Wi-Fi 6, you have single operation, so you can either communicate on 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz, one or the other, right? The client device can only do that. But with multi-link operation, if your client device can support it, it can talk to multiple uh, uh, spaces at the same time. So it allows you to have lower latency, increased data rates, higher reliability, and avoiding interference as well. So it can help, again, with that Pro, with the Wi-Fi Health, Wi-Fi Aid, with the AI functionality, can help to push users to the correct signals, to the correct channels, to the correct, uh, you know, uh, gigahertz range there to help mitigate, again, the overall noise that's happening in the network. It's kind of like, I mean, you think about it, in some ways, it's like, a CB radio, right? When I go camping, I give those off to the kids and they go off and have fun and they're riding on trails, et cetera. And we're always on a certain channel. And the moment you start getting a bunch of other people on that same channel, we know to switch channel, to another channel. So um, that's kind of that same idea, but you have to be able to communicate that to them to say, hey, let's go to channel 10. And then everybody switches over to channel 10. This is kind of in that same regard, rather than having to deal with all that extra noise where you don't understand the conversation. You can't have a conversation. It makes it really difficult. That's what multi-link operation will help you do there. So now combine that, stack that with a smart antenna technology. Now you're getting out of a double benefit of multiple channels, multiple streams, all using a smart antenna technology to mitigate on all those different levels. So our flagship is our WBA660S. It is our Wi-Fi 7 with cybersecurity capabilities, with that remote Wi-Fi uh, um, protection there. You can VPN using the device to get back to a network as well. But this is our triple radio Wi-Fi 7 access point, manageable in Nebula. So again, we pride in the design of the product. Smart antenna technology, anti-noise shieldings, um, boost performances on the antennas, heat spreading to make sure that it is working as optimal as possible. It comes with a 10 gig uplink, and also supports 1.5, 5, and 2.5 gigs on that 10 gig uplink. Surge protection on the device, super efficient PoE converter, and also 4G, 5G cellular interference kind of mitigation as well. So making sure that it can coexist there. So that's just a small sample of our Wi-Fi. We have a full line of Wi-Fi APs, both on the enterprise level side, all the way to your kind of entry level, low cost access points as well. Everything in between. But again, I think as MSPs, as partners, you want to be at that mid tier to high tier kind of options for your customers. And maybe in a like from the IT side, once you go to the smart antenna, you pretty much don't deal with any issues. Like some of our partners, it's just standardized on the smart antenna, and they never hear any issue about Wi-Fi related issues because of it. You still have to configure it. Obviously, you have to know how to use that power in order to maximize that. But it at least gives you the tools to do that. So on the wired network side, on the switch, we again have full complete solutions for that, both unmanaged, managed, web managed, cloud managed, even full layer 2 and layer 3 plus managed switches as well as an offering. But today I'm going to be covering more of, I guess, the latest ones, which is more focused on our 10 gig and our multi-gig solutions. Again, we still have our gigabit offerings there, but we're seeing the trend that multi-gig, 2.5, 5, and 10 gig is making a big round through now, as people are finding it being more affordable. So our switches have just gotten smarter and faster, just like everyone's network, right? And so a little bit of education, if you're not familiar with PoE and cabling, you need to make sure that you have the right cables deployed. Sometimes customers will just say, hey, I just use the existing pool. They have no clue what kind of cabling it was. They just plug it in and they may run into problems where it's not going up to the speeds that they were expecting, or it's negotiating at a lower speed than they were expecting. So Cat 5e can get you 5 gigs at 100 meters. You want to get a Cat 6 to give you, the full 10 gigs, but only at 55 meters. And Cat 6a will give you that full 10 gig speed across the full length of the Ethernet cable. So it again depends on what you have, what you need, and your cable run. And PoE is kind of now moving in from the 30 watt standard. You'll see more of the 60 watt standards in our devices as well. It's still backwards compatible, but more and more APs and devices that need more power is being deployed or being launched today, much like our Wi-Fi 7 APs. You need the 60 watt standard, even though it uses about 30 watts. It's more than what the 30 watt standard can provide as an output. As you can see, it can only output at the device, 25.5 watts based on that standard. So we have a full array of switches. Again, 1915 series is in our cloud managed. All of these models that you see here are all Nebula Cloud manageable. Then you have our flexibility, where most of our customers buy and sell today are 1350s, 1920s, and 1930 series models. And then if you are a more sophisticated MSP, that you have some specific projects that might need like layer 2, layer 3, or even CLI capabilities, then the ultimate or the project series models would be your, kind of your opportunity there with layer 2 and layer 3. We do carry a full array of PoE injectors. We've just launched our PoE 12-90 watt. So it's going to give you 10 gig uplink, as well as being able to inject 90 watts of PoE. So this is going to be great for you if you have a pan tilt zoom camera, or you might have some terminal computers or devices that need more than 60 watts. And now all of a sudden you can power up those devices using this injector and still get 10 gig. So this is also can be paired with our WBE access point, this the Wi-Fi 7, gives you the 60 watt, but also gives you 10 gig. Even though it only needs the 60 watt standard, it gives you the full 10 gig capability for whatever you might want to use it for there. But we've been selling these a lot for cameras, or even just to power up some extension of an AP somewhere. They may use it in a mesh mode. So let's say in a warehouse where you don't want to run that 300 feet, or you can't easily run that to that AP in the other side of the warehouse. As long as you can get power to inject it up to the AP, now you can mesh that AP via wireless back to the main network and utilize that. Or we've seen people use this for IP cameras, etc. So our XMG 1915 series is our just launched web managed, cloud managed multi-gig switch. So it's kind of an entry switch for the business, but it's still Nebula Cloud manageable. It gives you 180 watts of PoE plus power, but then gives you multi-gig, so 2.5 gig on the copper with 10 gig uplinks. The GS 1350 is kind of our special IP camera type CCTV switches, and it gives you functionalities like extended range, so you can push power and Ethernet beyond the 100 meter limitation of classic Ethernet. So now you can go up to 250 meters without having to have an extender device in between that. So to try to get to a camera that's a little further away than you are used to, this will be a great option for that. But it also has some extra functionalities where it will maintain the power. It will keep the PD up, so the devices on the other end, like the cameras or APs, even when the device has to do a software reboot, or maybe like a configuration change that requires a reboot, it will still maintain those cameras up and running so that they don't have to reboot. The 1930 series, their XGS, is our 10 gig uplink gigabit switch. So they're primarily gigabit ports with 10 gig uplinks. And it usually has a 24, 48 port version and gives you a max budget of about 375 watts. So that's those 10 gig SFP pluses. Our XS 1930s is a kind of a complete 10 gig switch. So it's a 10 gig multi-gig. So any of the ports can support 1, 2.5, 5, and 10 gig on the copper, and then it has 10 gig uplinks. We do have a switch model that is basically 10 ports of fiber SFP plus, and then 2 additional copper 10 gigs if you need to as well. And these switches will support a layer 3 software upgrade that will give you the AV mode, and it gives you kind of that full layer 3 functions that you find in our kind of 2200 series switches. The XMG 1930 is in that similar class, but now it's a multi-gig version of that. So it's a little bit more cost effective in terms of and it gives you a bigger port count. It gives you up to the 24 ports with additional multi-gig and PoE plus 60 watt power as well. So the previous one to the XS 1930s also has the 60 watt PoE support. And again, this one too gives you that layer 3 one-time layer 3 license to upgrade it to a layer 3 type switch. The XGS 2220 is our full layer 2, layer 3 access stackable switches with 10 gig uplink. It has gigabit ports with 10 gig uplinks, manageable again, also in Nebula. But we do have larger PoE budgets. So our 54 port models can go up to 960 watts of PoE power, and our 30 HP model can go up to 400 watts. So it again is a higher end kind of switch for you to use for those project based. And this could be your top of the rack switch, or maybe a concentrator type switch. It is an XS 3800, and they are all 10 gig ports, many of them being combo ports. So you can flip them between copper options or fiber 10 gig options, depending on your utilization, what you need. And this also has a layer 3 upgrade option as well. So that's our switches. And so the last piece that we're going to talk about is security, and especially with all of the threats and all of the breaches that have happened recently, security is always on people's mindset. And so we provide some powerful cybersecurity options for you, and we've got you covered from every angle. We work and empower our products with some of the best in class security experts out there. I named a few earlier, like Norton, Trellix. Siren provides our cloud email security functionalities, a GeoEnforcer through MaxMind, WebRoot for IP reputation, just to name a few things. But again, it is a full complementary suite that you find with any of our other kind of enterprise class level, you know, competition, but we provide this for the small business. So anywhere between 1 to 500 users on an office space, we have models that fulfill that. So we provide content filtering, secure Wi-Fi, connect and protect when you're using with our access points, or full UTM security. So 0-day sandboxing, IP DNS reputation, your malware, your ransomware blocking, all of that available in these solutions. It provides you security intelligence. So it's included within your yearly subscription as well for security that helps to maintain the signatures and all of that through those partners. And the reporting allows for you to monitor and identify threats over time. It can identify abnormal user behaviors. You can create customized reports with it to send to your customers. So that's a really great value when you're trying to sell someone on a managed service. So if you roll in security, most people will say, yeah, that's a no-brainer because you can showcase what you are protecting against. You can showcase who's using the most bandwidth, what websites they're going to, what kind of ransomware we blocked at the firewall level, and give them a monthly report. And that will definitely showcase, their the reason why they are paying for some sort of managed security services, right? It gives them something tangible to look at and to know that they're being protected. And you could seamlessly switch between the Nebula platform and to the secure reporter side within the Nebula. So we have different models again, the effortless side with the SCRs, the USG lights, and then most of our customers use our flexibility side with this USG Flex series. And then you have the ultimate customers who might need more than gigabit UTM or really high speed UTM on our USG Flex H series. So this is kind of like this is our SCR 50, just a visual there. It has built-in Wi-Fi 6E. It's made for kind of a small office or maybe an MSP using it in a small retail shop or a coffee shop. Gives you VPN, gives you security on a base level, and it's subscriptionless. You can add on some subscriptions to give you better ransomware protection and content filtering services, but you can use it out of the box, gives you a baseline security against some malware and ransomware. And then our new USG Lite 60AX, it is it's basically the router with security, built-in ransomware protection, again, security license free, and you can add on the more premium security functionalities there. But one of the key features is it has built-in Wi-Fi 6 mesh. So you can mesh this with any of our other meshable access points directly to the device if you need to extend that within that either small office or in the retail store. But most of our customers are using our USG Flex series today. It has high performance UTM, both streaming and scanning within the device at the gateway level. It has sandbox included within the bundle pricing that you can use, URL threat filtering, VPN, multi-WAN, load balancing, everything you would find in kind of an enterprise level firewall device for your small businesses. And then our new USG Flex H series, they basically are similar to the USG Flex, except for the high performance processors that are in it to allow to deliver up to 15 gigs of SPI firewall throughput on our highest end model, and then gives you multi-gig options with 2.5, and then on the high end model is the 10 gig uplink side of it. And then there's additional integrated PoE models, so you'll find those models with an HP at the end instead of just the H. So like a 100 HP, it will come with PoE ports. So then you can use that to power 30-watt PoE on devices. So it could be a camera, it could be a phone, it could be an access point to give this, kind of Wi-Fi access as well. So that's kind of the quick Quick summary, we do webinars that go into depth as well on each one of these topics. We do have, Nebula related ones, very specific ones, very targeted there. If you want to join that, we do that typically once a month. And then we have lots of other webinars that you could look back on our webinar page to see if you missed anything or there's some topics that might be of interest to you. But we work through the channel through D&H, Ingram, Synix, Wave, Target, Pace, and Blue Star up in Canada. And we want you to be, when you start out in our silver plan. We want you to get to gold. There's no cost for you to be there, except you just need to do business with Zyxel. So if you're selling our products at 12K per 6 months, then you're going to end up being in our gold tier. It gives you maximum discounts there through distribution on the channel, gives you a lot of access to a lot of other things there too within our program. If you want to connect with me or with us here at Zyxel, over at LinkedIn, it's Zyxel-US-channel, and on YouTube for this video and any of the other videos that you might want to learn, Zyxel America channel. There's also another Zyxel, I think it's called just the Zyxel channel on YouTube that gives you some other kind of helpful videos, really quick 2-minute, videos on configuring very specific applications that you might find useful, find it might be helpful for you to sell to your customers. Or you can connect with me. You can find me on LinkedIn if you just search for Zyxel Tri, Tri. So there is a couple minutes. I do have to leave a little bit early, but if you do have a question, please feel free to ask that now. But if you don't have anything, you think of something later, you can always email me at tri@zyxel.com and just let me know, what kind of questions you have, how can I help you? And we'll get the right people involved to bring those answers to you if I can't answer it myself. So thank you for being here. If you're going to drop off, thank you very much. I hope that this was informative, had something new. There's always a little bit of new things happening here, and definitely the next one will have some additional new content as well. But I appreciate you being here. I look forward to talking to you again at another Tech Talk soon. So until next time, thank you and have a great rest of your day.